What's really stopping you? If you truly want this, nothing can hold you back. But if you don't really want it, anything, any tiny setback, the slightest obstacle, becomes an excuse. It becomes a reason to quit, a justification to avoid going down that path. Be real with yourself. If someone calls you fat, yeah, it might sting, but maybe there's truth in it. If they call you dumb, sure, it's mean, but maybe it's a wake-up call. Life is harsh, but take it as it comes and make that change. Where's your motivation? Imagine being woken up at 3 a.m. with someone saying, "Let's go, we're running." Could you get up and push through the exhaustion? Rise again tomorrow and the day after that. Keep getting up. Prove that you can handle this. Obsession drives people. Some become obsessed with being the toughest person alive. Are they there? Who cares? They believe it. Once you're truly obsessed, it's okay to be unbalanced for a while. That's part of the process. Don't buy into what everyone else says about balance. To become the best in the world at what you do, it's not about having everything perfectly aligned. If you want to reach greatness, you've got to be unbalanced, willing to tap into every ounce of energy and strength within you. Balance can come later, once you've achieved something incredible. As one wise person said, the only way to win is to succeed so big that everyone compares themselves to you, and you eventually forget they exist. Success, they said, is the only revenge. Not just the best, but the only one. Anything else? It's just petty. If you're dwelling on what others think, you're letting them win. Focus on your goals and your victory. When you win, you grow so big they fade into irrelevance. Your shadow eclipses them, leaving them unseen behind you. Give someone purpose and the ability to achieve it, and they'll crawl over broken glass with a smile, feeling capable, powerful, respected, and admired. Those are the things that drive someone to the ends of the earth. When you have those, you can endure any hardship, but don't look for answers in the light. None are there. The light's too happy, too easy. No one needs lessons on how to live in happiness. That just comes naturally. The real challenge is the dark times, and the truth is, you won't reach that depth unless you put yourself there. It's all on you. The ball's in your court. No more messing around. Want a better life? No one else can do it for you. Not even God. Only you can help yourself. So grab a notebook, take a hard look at yourself, and write down exactly what you're going to accomplish this year. Today's the day to drop the excuses. Forget the drugs. Forget the cigarettes. Forget anyone holding you back. It all begins now. This is the year of the soldier. It's time to reclaim what's yours. Every morning, hold yourself accountable to your mission. Not a company's, but your own. Create your own mission statement. What do you want to stand for? Once you got that clarity, then you can work on getting better. You can start making real progress. But until you know what you're fighting for, you'll never take a stand. You'll just be sitting down. The truth is, you've got to stop caring what anyone else says or thinks. You need that unshakable mindset. You know exactly who you are. You've got your circle of people who understand you, who know what you're about, and anyone who doesn't like it, too bad. Now let's be real. You're lazy. You know exactly what you need to do. You just don't want to face it. Because let's be honest, it sucks. It sucks to put in the effort, to push through the discomfort, but the real fear? It's never reaching your potential. It's always coming up short, always quitting before the job's done, procrastinating, and avoiding what needs to be done. One day you'll look back and think, I could have been great. If there's a voice in your head telling you that you've got talent, that you could do something amazing, listen to it. There are no shortcuts. It's you against you. If you don't grasp that, you're in real trouble. Here's the truth. It's easier than ever to rise above because people today are soft. They lack work ethic. They can't stick to anything. They're distracted, obsessed with social media, constantly checking their notifications because they can't commit. They can't say no. Your biggest enemy is you. That's the battle. Facing yourself. Understand this. It's always you against you. The only person standing in your way is you. No one else. Just you. Forget about motivation. Motivation comes and goes, but what you need is discipline. Motivation isn't there every day. Some days, yeah, you might feel pumped like you can't wait to hit the gym, but on most days it's a grind. You'll think, I have to get to the gym. Once you start, it feels good. And when you're done, you feel even better. But that first step, it's always hard. Your body craves comfort. It'll try to trick you. It'll whisper, maybe today's a day off. You didn't sleep well. You don't feel great. It's tough, especially when you're young. Waking up at 6 a.m. in the off season while your friends are sleeping in, eating pancakes, relaxing. That's hard. Heading to practice, loaded down with gear in 90-degree heat, while everyone else is at the pool or beach. That's hard. And when your body's already spent from back-to-back workouts, it's even harder to throw, catch, block, tackle, and compete against those bigger and stronger than you. But this is where discipline kicks in. It's about pushing past the comfort, past the excuses, and showing up day after day. Only to go home that night, bruised, battered, and drained, but knowing you'll have to show up again the next day, just for the chance to try again. But understand this, life is tough. Those people who constantly complain, I can't catch a break, get them far away from you. You don't need that energy. No one wants to hear that. Everyone faces bad breaks. We all go through rough patches. But what matters is what you do next. Stay up, think it through, figure out what went wrong, and get back to it. Messing up is part of the process. It happens over and over. Every bad break is an opportunity to reassess, reset, and get better. Those who see challenges and whine, why does this always happen to me? They're dangerous. They're like a drain on your energy, the opposite of fuel. You need to remember the purpose is you. That's easy to forget. Every single day you'll wake up with things you don't want to do, but that's life. Keep pushing forward and don't let anyone rob you of your enthusiasm. Ask yourself, are you going to be weak today? Are you going to let yourself walk around all day, knowing you could have given more but didn't? Think about those times when you're on your own path, feeling like you're too different to fit in with the friends you have, but not quite successful enough to connect with the people you want to be around. That's when you want support. That's when you need people to root for you. Because once you've already made it, that's when people start saying, they're amazing, they're so good. But by then, you don't even need it. You've already won. When you walk out of here today, walk out knowing you're a winner. Imagine stepping out the door feeling like you lost. Who wants that? Wouldn't you rather walk out a winner? So make the choice. Will you be that person who fights to the very end, or will you settle for less? Because for some, it's worth fighting to the death to avoid being that person who just gave up. Sometimes getting close to the edge is what it takes. It might sound extreme, but if you want real results, you've got to give it everything. Otherwise, you'll end up like everyone else. You need to be the first person rooting for yourself, long before anyone else does. Picture it as a slow clap in an empty auditorium, where it's just you cheering yourself on. That image is powerful because it's true. Most people struggle to go it alone, but the path of the exceptional is, by nature, a lonely one. Rather than fighting against it, see it as a sign that you're on the right track. If everyone else were cheering you on, it would mean you're just like them, and that's not where you want to be. It's easy to give up, absolutely. It's the easiest thing to say, I'm done, I'm not going to keep going, I don't feel like it. Quitting takes no effort, but what's truly hard? Saying, yesterday I gave everything and got nothing, but today I'm going to do it all over again and push even harder. That's the hardest thing in the world, to get up every day, give 100%, and feel like you're still stuck in the same spot. That's a real grind. And there comes a day when reality hits. Maybe you're on the field, tired of striking out, or perhaps you've been fired from your 5th job and the pressure's mounting at home. Whatever the situation, that's when you face the ultimate test of resilience. There comes a day when being mediocre, being average, just burns too much to handle. You reach a point where you can't take it anymore, and you finally get up and unleash something that's always been inside you. It's been waiting to come out, but you held back because it demanded too much pain and commitment. Be the one who embraces the ugly, the miserable grind. Embrace hard work. Don't shy away from sacrifice or a little blood. Still waiting for that big smile from you. You're up 2-0. So what's the story? Are you happy or only half happy? What's there to be happy about? You're up 2-0, but is the job done? Is the job finished? No way. You feared failure? You feared you'd never see it through if you started? You kept it hidden? never wanting to confront it, but one day, something hits, and you have no choice but to face it head on. Sometimes you lose your job or see someone else succeed, and it's a harsh reminder of what you could have been, and that's when a spark is born. In that moment, you decide you're never going to be in that boat again. You get up, and even if you get knocked down, you keep going. You keep going because you've got a wild side, and life has never been sweeter. You've got to envision something bigger than yourself, something powerful enough to get you out of bed. You have to create it, even if it feels unreal at first, because right now, if you're just coasting, you're living a lie, and that regret, it'll haunt you forever. It's worse than any physical pain or sacrifice. Regret will weigh you down far more than any hard work ever could. What have you learned from your highs and lows? Because you'll face wins, losses, good times, bad times, successes, and failures. Emotions will swing, but don't let yourself be dragged up and down with them. Stay steady, stay centered, and don't get too caught up in one moment or the other. If you know there's potential inside of you, but you keep ignoring it, you'll get older. The windows of opportunity will close, and that potential will remain untapped. That regret will haunt you like a living nightmare. Knowing you had the ability but never took action is a far greater burden than any struggle. Don't let regret be the legacy you leave behind. No matter how much you improve or change, it's never permanent. You might wake up one day and think, wow, you're someone who breaks records, someone who achieves so much. But that's just the surface. People don't understand what it takes to keep that drive alive, to never turn it off. Because if you do, you'll slip right back into the person you were before. And that's the version of yourself you're fighting every day. It's a choice that can make you seem misunderstood, even a little crazy. Setbacks are inevitable. Feeling bad doesn't mean you're doing bad. It doesn't mean you are bad. And it definitely doesn't mean you can't take action. Because here's the truth. Nothing changes if nothing changes. One of the strongest mindsets you can adopt is thinking, this will be the story I tell one day. The harder the challenge, the bigger the obstacle, the more epic the story becomes. And by that logic, the more legendary the hero you'll be. Discipline is everything. It doesn't matter how good you are at something. Without discipline, it's meaningless. Without it, you'll quit at the first sign of struggle. So keep going. Discipline is what separates those who make it from those who don't. Discipline is doing what you hate, but doing it like you love it. That's the key. Waking up and jumping right into the grind, even though no one really wants to. But that's the difference. You might not love it now, but don't be surprised when, later in life, you're lying there, maybe in a hospital bed, and you're thinking, I didn't do enough. You might have lived a decent life, but there will always be that emptiness if you didn't give it your all. That's the truth. Congratulations, you've reached failure. Now that's actually a good thing, because once you hit failure, the only place left to go is up. You have to push yourself to that edge. And yes, it's terrifying. But guess what? That's where winning lives. Winning has always been out on that edge. This world is tough, and it will find your weaknesses. Life is the ultimate competitor, constantly trying to take you down. But if you build enough belief, enough confidence, then nothing can hurt you. You'll know exactly who you are because you've faced your demons. Maybe you haven't written a book, but you've replayed your past in your mind. You've faced your traumas and accepted them. Now you can talk about what you've been through without feeling embarrassed or ashamed. Shame is one of the biggest obstacles that stops people from moving forward. Don't be ashamed of anything you've done. Face it and fix it. Yes, we're human, but don't let that be an excuse. If you keep telling yourself, I'm only human, you'll always stay stuck in the same cycle. Break free from it, and don't let those mistakes define you. You've got to take everything you've learned from your struggles and use it as fuel. It's time to dive into the archives of your life. Sure, you might be messed up. Maybe something happened along the way, but go back, dig it up and study it, learn from it, and use it to drive you forward. That's the key. Finding purpose in suffering. It's possible. You can make that change, but it takes planning. Set aside enough resources to buy yourself some time, and then work out a plan. Use every waking moment outside of whatever job you're stuck in to plot your escape. You have to come to terms with where you are, own up to your mistakes, and realize you got yourself into this. And that means you can get yourself out too. Whatever you're pursuing, you have to approach it like your life depends on it. Whether you're aiming to be an author or chasing any other goal, it's all about how you use your time. If you're working a full day, handling family responsibilities, and then find just an hour and a half to write, attack that time like you're saving your life. Treat it like it's the only thing keeping you from drowning. That hour and a half, you need to be fully caffeinated, fully motivated. You've got to go all in with discipline, because that's what most people lack. Most people don't really know what it means to give everything, to feel like the consequences of not doing so are terrifying. People are driven more by fear of being inadequate than by any perfect, well-balanced desire to achieve greatness. It's that fear of falling short, that fear of thinking, am I just wasting my potential? That fear is a powerful driver. It's what makes you push yourself to the edge, to do something so extraordinary that you can't possibly be mediocre. There's always that thought, what if you're actually a coward? The moment you start questioning, what can I do to stop being a coward? That's where the spark of motivation begins. It's fascinating, because if you trace fear back to its simplest form, it boils down to one thing: death. And death, as brutal as it sounds, is the greatest motivator there is. Think about it. If you walk up to someone on the street and put a gun to their head, telling them to do something, they'll do it instantly. But if you just offer them a reward, it won't have the same effect. The fear of death pushes people to go 10 times harder. That's the power of fear in its purest form. When you peel back the layers, that's what insecurity is. It's the fear that you won't be enough. And if you're not enough, then everything you've wanted won't happen. If you don't reach your goals, you end up alone. And that's just as good as being dead. So the most successful people, whether they know it or not, often link not achieving their goals to something as serious as life or death. And that's why they're willing to go to such extremes. Now, if you tell young men you're going to find meaning by taking on as much responsibility as you can, it's a tough sell, because at first you're probably a mess. You might not even have your own life together, let alone be ready for others to depend on you. But that's the expectation. Not only to get your act together, but to be stable enough that someone else can stand being with you, even just in the simplest moments. And then, it's about being a reliable partner, a strong father, and a pillar of your community. It's a tall order, but that's where the real purpose lies. Taking on that level of responsibility is what ultimately drives you to become someone others can rely on. And that's not just empty talk. If you commit to it with everything you've got, there'll be substance to you. When storms come, you won't be toppled by the first wave that hits. Here's what I know. Until you make a choice to stop feeling the way you do, to stop thinking the way you do, or to stop accepting the results, or lack of results you're getting, nothing will change. You've got to reach a point where you say, I might not feel great right now. I might have doubts, regrets, and bad experiences that weigh me down. But with the time I have left, I want to find enjoyment. I want to take better care of myself. I want to feel happy. You don't even have to believe you deserve it just yet. You only need to want it. That's the starting point. The most important thing? Start acting like the person who already has what you're chasing, even if it doesn't feel natural. If there's a single clue that tells you you're on the right path, it's probably that you're doing something different from everyone else. When I think of what I'd want for my future children, it's that they'd have high agency, that they make choices based on what they truly want, not on the opinions of others. Authenticity and originality come from asking, what do I want? And then building from that foundation. Hard work isn't glamorous. It's not the stuff of Hollywood montages. It's not like Rocky in the 14th round making a triumphant stand. It's more like being trapped in a dungeon with the key right there, but not willing to use it. There's nothing inherently motivating about it. Hard work looks like grinding day in and day out, with no applause and no spotlight. It's just you and the choice to use that key. The challenge is to make that choice, to keep pushing even when it's not pretty or inspiring, because that's where the real transformation happens. when you're willing to do the work, not because it looks good, but because you're committed to the outcome. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next one.